I was 3 steps from my front door when I smelled my own grill, heard Sweet Caroline bouncing off the water, and saw a teenage girl I'd never met taking selfies on my dock. Yeah, that happened. And if your blood pressure just spiked, welcome to my afternoon, because mine was tap dancing on my carotid. I came up the mountain for quiet, pulled into my driveway, and found strangers camped on my deck like they owned the view. A woman in a sun hat actually waved at me like I was interrupting her spa day on my property. You know what I mean? Let me back up a sec. We'd had a brutal 2 weeks at work. Our daughter's fundraiser took whatever energy was left, so we tossed the dog in the SUV and headed for Blue Cedar Lake, that little sliver of Colorado where the pines start talking to you the minute you kill the engine, where the North Shore still keeps a thin sheet of spring ice, but our cove thaws early and turns to melted glass. Gravel under tires, warm light on the water. The whole postcard until we round the last bend, and there sit 2 unfamiliar cars, a gray Highlander and a dusty Jeep with out-of-state plates, and behind my cabin smoke curls from my grill like it got a second job while I was gone. I hit the brakes, coffee sloshes, and I'm out, heart-pounding voice not far behind it. Hey, what is going on here? And they look at me like I'm the interruption. Sun hat lady glides over, polite but annoyed. Can I help you? Yeah, I say. Start with telling me why you're on my deck. Shirtless grill guy goes, we're renting it through the HOA, which is kind of like telling me you borrowed my truck from a neighbor who doesn't have a driveway. She produces a plastic folder, hands me a lease with an official-looking header, Timberline Ridge Property Association, and a glossy photo of my cabin printed right there on page 1. Bold signature at the bottom, Lydia Crane, President. I don't laugh. I read. Then I read again. Then I look up and say the quiet part loud. This property is not part of your HOA, never was, never will be. I own it. I have the deed. There's the survey pin in the dirt, and you, all of you, are trespassing. Grill guy mutters about kids and weekends and how they paid good money, and Sun Hat says take it up with Lydia. So I do what adults do when summer camp turns into a crime scene. I film everything, then I call the county. 2 deputies roll up, one older with that I've seen this look in people SIs before calm, one young and eager like he's still deciding if the academy was worth it, and we do the document dance. I hand over my ID, my deed, and a printed county map I keep in the glove box like a paranoid Boy Scout. The older deputy studies boundaries, the younger interviews renters, and I point to the line where the association stops 2 lots shy of my parcel, a quarter mile of no one's business but mine. The lease has a QR code and a fake lot number, looks official right up until common sense walks in with a flashlight. The deputy finally nods, gives Sun Hat his ma'am, I'm going to need you to pack up. Voice in the group starts gathering coolers and apologizing to the air like it can refund a weekend. Some glare like I ruined their vacation by coming home to my house, but within the hour the deck is empty, the coals are dying, and I'm left staring at my own life like a crime scene I don't recognize. I tell the deputy I want to press charges. He says file down at the station, and we do trespass, fraud, whatever sticks. As I'm driving back, though, the adrenaline wears off and something colder settles in my gut. A memory of a back window, once unlatched bourbon that went missing, a whiff of cologne in an empty room, all the little nothings that suddenly feel like a pattern. Inside the cabin, that feeling gets louder. Drawers I never open are open. A stranger's toothbrush sits in the bathroom, and my daughter's bed is still warm. My wife points at a side table drawer at a tiny metal latch nudged up, and I find tucked behind the wall heater a black box with a pinhole lens and a red LED wired to a cellular uplink someone hid in the HVAC closet. Not a security camera. A watcher. On. In my home. My hands shake. Then they stop, because shaking won't disconnect wires. I call the sheriff back. An evidence tech comes out, collects the gear, and confirms. The thing looks pro. Whoever did this knew what they were doing and they weren't expecting you back this weekend. Me neither. At sunrise, I call a lawyer, Ava Caldwell Steele, in boots and case law for breakfast and tell her everything. She doesn't coo or reassure. This isn't just civil, she says. This is criminal impersonation of authority, unlawful entry, surveillance, wire fraud, if payments cross state lines. Wire fraud, my least favorite two-word combo outside of poison ivy. I am still on the phone when Detective Omar Ellis reaches out from the county plainclothes clipped sentences, the kind of guy who knows which coffee lids actually stay on, and he's already got metadata from the camera's cloud logins pinging from a Starbucks in Phoenix 2 days ago, another yesterday. He says the name Lydia Crane out loud, says she hasn't been seen at her office, and an hour later, Highway Patrol stops a black Audi with Colorado plates just outside Winslow, New Mexico. Detained for questioning, Ellis says vehicle impounded. They search Lydia's SUV and find a plastic file box full of short-term leases with the same HOA header. None of them legitimate, a notepad of addresses with cute comments like, usually empty, and send laundry to Glenwood, a USB stick with interior photos of multiple homes, bedrooms, bathrooms, and a keyring with duplicates. One that opens my front door as easily as my own spare. Detective Ellis says the quiet part again. She treated other people's homes like a vacation inventory. I think about the toothbrush, the warm bed, the missing bourbon, and I feel my jaw lock in a way that has nothing to do with dentistry. The story goes public before I can even catch my breath. Local news runs HOA president detained in rental scam, and my phone turns into a slot machine that only pays in notifications. Someone sends a clip of a renter's Instagram live. Here's the twist I didn't see coming. A teenage guest had filmed a cheery check-in walkthrough with a woman whose voice gives me a chill. "Welcome to our community property," the voice says from off camera. We ask guests to leave things nicer than they found them. And there, for 3 frames, is Lydia's face in a reflection on the microwave door. Half-smile sunglasses on top of her head. Yeah, that happened. Detective Ellis calls it helpful corroboration. Ava calls it defense exhibit #never. I call it fuel. Then the mountain does what small mountains do, it talks. A woman in her late 50s, cardigan, careful hands, shows up on my porch with a manila folder and eyes that look like she's been holding her breath for a year. My name's Evelyn Park. She says I was treasurer for Timberline Ridge. I'm sorry. She sits at our kitchen table and unloads a confession that's half spreadsheet, half nightmare, 2 sets of books, a Dropbox titled Quiet Owners, full of usage logs and camera stills, emails where Lydia told her to massage minutes, threats about joint liability if anyone quit. She said if we spoke out, we'd go down with her. Evelyn whispers. And when I ask if she'll testify, she nods, tears threading her voice. I can't sleep unless I do. Ava moves like a storm front. Subpoenas depositions a line of board members who suddenly remember how to tell the truth when they're under oath. And while we're teeing up the civil suit, the association, or what's left of it, plays dumb and loud. I get a certified letter from an interim president, a smug man named Greg Tillman, who once treated bylaws like scripture at summer barbecues, demanding a community impact restoration fee for the embarrassment my victimhood apparently caused. Good faith as a member of our community, he writes, which is adorable because here comes twist number 2. Ava's paralegal discovers the Timberline Ridge bylaws were copy-pasted from a different county's HOA, never registered locally, no legal standing. Translation, the HOA Lydia ran was a shout with a logo. It gets tackier. 2 guys in generic utility vests show up in an unmarked SUV flash badges from something called the Mountain State Infrastructure Authority and start poking my meter with a screwdriver. I film them, ask for a work order. They mumble into a radio that might be a prop and drive off when I mention I'm on a first-name basis with the sheriff now. No such agency exists. The plate is a rental. Scare tactics, just enough theater to make you hesitate. They're desperate. Ava says that's what desperation looks like, cosplay with liabilities. Desperation turns to delusion when Greg sues me, defamation, disruption of community governance, reputational damages, the whole soggy salad. And I will say this as kindly as I can: if you're going to accuse a guy of ruining your reputation, maybe don't staple forged leases to your past. We countersue with receipts, malicious prosecution, abuse of process, civil conspiracy, and the courtroom fills up like a matinee. Reporters, neighbors, a couple of renters who now understand why their timeshare smelled like someone else's shampoo. Greg's lawyer looks like he bought a discount suit on the way over, and the judge, who has that long memory stare of someone raised by librarians, asks the question that cuts to the bone. Did the plaintiff knowingly submit documents to lease property he did not own? Ava says, "Yes, Your Honor," then says it again, then again, like a metronome that keeps perfect time. The judge dismisses their entire claim with prejudice, freezes what's left of the association's bank accounts, and kicks a little packet of notes to the district attorney with a gentle, devastating phrase for further review. A week later, deputies serve warrants at a storage unit and at Greg's house. They find burner phones maps with red circles, and you can't make this up, a trophy plaque that reads "President of the Year Timberline Ridge," clearly ordered from the internet, with a coupon code. Meanwhile, the criminal case against Lydia rolls fast. Victims line up from 3 counties, renters come out of the woodwork with screenshots, and the DA stacks charges like cordwood fraud, unlawful entry, surveillance wire crimes. Bond denied. We settle with the renters quietly. They were lied to too, and the gavel finally lands. Lydia Crane gets 15 years, no parole recommended, and the judge calls it a premeditated parasitic abuse of community trust, which is legalese, for you violated the part of people's lives where they should have felt safe. Timberline Ridge dissolves in a whimper, assets seized, volunteer titles revoked, the brand retired like a mascot who bit a tourist. My countersuit resolves with enough to cover legal fees, the emotional scrape of it all, and a little extra to put the place back together the way it deserves. So I fix my gate, industrial steel keypad, the kind that clanks with authority. And I rewire the whole cabin with a system that texts me if a raccoon sneezes on the porch. I plant new signs because clarity is kind. Private property not for rent, not HOA-affiliated trespassers will be photographed, recorded, and prosecuted and fined. One petty little extra by the drive, laser cut and reflective as a highway. Lydia, it's still my house. And here's where I leave you, late afternoon, the lake gone gold. The dog thumping his tail against the boards, my daughter leaning into my side with the kind of quiet that says the worst has passed. I take the counterfeit lease out of my pocket, the one with my cabin's picture and Lydia's neat signature, and I feed it to the fire bowl on the deck. Paper curls, ink blisters, a fake authority turns to heat we actually want, and the breeze carries the last ash across the water in a gray ribbon that doesn't belong to anyone. My wife squeezes my hand. My daughter asks, "Is it ours again?" And I say, soft but certain, "It never stopped being ours. They just forgot to be afraid of the word no." You knew this was coming. The part where I ask you to talk to me, but I mean it. I want to hear you. What do you call justice here? What do you call forgiveness? What do you call enough when someone turns your home into inventory and your privacy into product? Should HOAs wield this much influence, or do we just pretend they do until someone like Lydia cashes in? Drop your take in the comments where the line is, where it should be. What you'd have done at the grill when you smelled your own life cooking without you. And if you've got a story like this, small, big, messy, true, share it. Because sunlight fixes things shame can't. Thanks for being here. And if this hit you in the gut the way it hit me, like, subscribe. Send it to that one friend who says it could never happen to me. And I'll see you next time out on the lake where quiet really means quiet and borrowed authority finally runs out of gas.